It is Wednesday, and you all know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Life in the Movies podcast. I'm one of your co hosts. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We had a week off, and oh boy, a lot of stuff happened during that week. The Oscar nominees were announced, DC Studios laid out their big 5-year plan, and we're going to talk about all of that and cover Luke Cage Season 1, Episode 3. But first, I have to introduce my favorite Tennessean, or at least Tennessean for the next 3 years, Jacob Martin. Jacob, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. The move was pretty successful. I've started my first week at school. I'm actually on my second week now. It's been a pretty good start so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey is going to lead me. So, thank you all for sticking around, and I hope to continue to be part of this podcast, hopefully to come in the next 3 years, but I'll just have to wait and see. But
What fill me in a little, like what goes on at a college like you're going to? Like what's the curriculum like?
Uh, it's actually it's actually a Christian school that I'm a part of. I'm there 3 days a week. Each of the classes, most of which is about based on a different book in the Bible, and then there's other classes I'm a part of that's one class I'm doing is dealing with like the English language and how that applies to the scripture, and another one is centered around preaching and how to be a successful preacher.
So I assume that's a lot of Bible study.
It is a lot of Bible study. Most of my nights is reading a lot of passages. I do have to do some memory work. It's some very exciting stuff.
I bet you at the end of 3 years I can go like read all of Colossians, go. And you
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see if the memory works after 3 years, but it's very exciting. And like I've told other people, the last time I was in school, I was at community college, I'd say about 8 years ago, but I was doing that and working part time, and it was very stressful. With this, I'm only going to school full time, and this a lot of the stress I had in community college is gone because I'm focused on schoolwork and schoolwork only, and I'm a lot more committed to that.
Yeah, well, it's nice to I guess it's nicer to have not have the pressure of or it I guess sounds like a less pressure environment, if that's fair.
Oh yeah, definitely, because most of my focus is on what's more important, which is uh, studying the Bible and learning more about God and living a good Christian life. Hanging around with a bunch of Christians is very welcoming and very rewarding.
Well, that sounds awesome, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it as it goes on through the next couple of years. But while we were away, a lot of stuff happened, and let's and we'll definitely be getting into that. But first, let's get into our Luke Cage coverage. This is Luke Cage Season 1, Episode 3, called Who's Gonna Take the Weight? In the aftermath of a chaotic event at a favorite Harlem hangout, Luke heeds the call to action and hits Cottonmouth where he'll feel it the most. Basically, at the end of Episode 2, Pops was killed in a very violent incident, and Luke took it personally. And so now it feels like after 2 episodes of kind of figuring out where we stand, the gloves are officially off.
I definitely agree. The first two episodes was kind of a mixed bag for me. I enjoyed the setup, but it had a very slow start, and I wasn't fully invested in the narrative. Whereas in this episode, I was a lot more engaged. I enjoyed Luke Cage's journey in this episode, the actions he takes after this tragedy. Even though I do think it was kind of a mistake to kill off Pops early, I still believe that because I like the character so much. I enjoy learning more about the dynamics of Cottonmouth and then Alfie Woodard's character. Those are still the two best characters in the show. the action in this episode was very relentless. Like some of the action reminded me of some of the best action in the Daredevil episodes because it was that good. Especially this one where Luke Cage barges in. There's like a Wu-Tang song playing in the background. He's like beating dudes up left and right. He grabs a sofa and just swings over and smacks a bunch of dudes. It was really awesome stuff. And I think there were some aspects with like what's going on and what's the mole in the system. Like I predicted early on who the mole was in the police force. That was too obvious for me, especially when there was a scene prior where the guy's like, "Oh, there's a vigilante going on. I don't really like my job that much. I just want to get the pay and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, you're a pretty shady dude." And sure enough, that was a shady dude. So the cliffhanger was pretty good too, where Cottonmouth shoots a missile at Luke Cage. That was a pretty good cliffhanger. I'm excited to see what happens next week when we continue our discussion on Luke Cage. But of the 3 episodes, this is the one I enjoyed the most.
That sofa moment was wild. He just picks it up and starts just whacking dudes with it, and it flies out the window. And I'm just like, this dude just picked up a sofa. He
Yeah,
picked up a leather sofa. Like, this dude is strong. And just that whole scene is just wild. He rips a car door off the hinges, and he's just like using it for a while. Like, why are you using the car door? You're literally bulletproof. But I mean, I guess even bulletproof dudes need a shield. But I like the discussion that Alfred Woodard and Mahershala Ali had on that park bench, where it's very obvious where those two stand. Where Alfred Woodard's character is very much the face of this criminal empire. And Mahershala Ali is working in the back. It's literally business in the front, illegal stuff in the back.
yeah. And their conversation was actually very engaging because she's like, I'm doing a lot of bad stuff, but I feel like I'm doing it for the right reasons and for a way to keep my culture and my city strong and relevant as ever before. And it's a very interesting conversation where you're like, okay, I guess you can see where she's coming from, but clearly she's in the wrong at the same time.
Yeah, it's like trying to justify the bad stuff. It's kind of like Walter White from Breaking Bad saying that I'm doing this for my family. And I won't go any further than that, Jacob, because I know you haven't seen Breaking Bad, but that's definitely something we're going to talk about one day on this podcast. So I will keep that a secret for as long as possible. But like you said, the cop, it became too obvious. Like at first I was like, okay, maybe. And then this episode, I'm like, he's definitely dirty, which bit of an aside, I'm I'm kind of tired of the corrupt cop kind of cliche in most dramas involving this. It's like the attitude is like, yeah, there are bad cops in the world, but I've actually worked with cops and most of them are just nice men and women. So I don't know why that's a stereotype, but I'm just tired of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've seen a lot more good cops in my area than there have bad. I guess it's kind of a cliche to do the dirty cop thing because it's in a lot of movies and shows. And I guess more so in bigger cities where there's a lot more corruption and stuff like that. But it was too predictable that to me, and that's like probably my one real gripe with the episode.
It's like they want to make every cop a cop out of The Wire, and it is like, or not The Wire, but you know, it's like it's like a general rule. There must be at least one cop in the pocket of the big criminal, and it's like, okay, yeah, there are bad cops in the world, of course there are, but at the same time, it's like every time I see a corrupt cop, I just turn to Gene Siskel when he was talking about how much he hates dream sequences. Like a dream sequence. There is nothing I can't stand more than a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like this show is finally is like we've established who everyone is, and now we're just off to the races, hopefully, because that ending was wild. Because there's Cottonmouth with just the big old rocket launcher, and he just shoots it into this restaurant. You're just like, well, Luke's probably gonna make it, but I don't know at the same time.
And I liked his reaction. He's like, "Oh, sweet sister." I almost burst out laughing when he said that.
Like I get it, it's a PG-13 show, or no wait,
No,
no wait, this is
it
TVMA.
is TVMA, yeah.
He could have said something spicier and gotten away with it, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a character thing.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe someone in the comments will let us know about that. But what did you all think of season one, episode three of Luke Cage? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. Well, let's get into the first of our double main event for the evening. The 2020, the 2022, I should say. It's a weird thing with the years, but the 2022 Oscar nominations dropped. And Jacob, had you heard of these before going into this?
Yeah. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but I do have a kind of a familiarity with what got nominated.
Well, I've got the site pulled up here, and we won't go over everything. We'd be here all night, but I'll just go through some of the bigger ones. So starting off with Best Actor, we had Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun, and Bill Nye in Living. Now, I'm fairly certain that there's a couple of those that we have not seen. Like I have not seen Living, I have not seen After Sun. I have seen Elvis, Banshees, and The Whale, and if I had to pick them, I'd say give it to Austin Butler because that dude absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, I see. I haven't seen near as many as you have. The only one I've seen is Elvis. And I love Austin Butler in that movie. And if I had to choose just on the one performance I've seen, it is Austin Butler because he was fantastic in the film. But if I'm thinking Oscars, it's probably going to go to either him or Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser's had such a good comeback stint, and he won, I think, a Critics' Choice for his role in The Whale, and gave such a really emotional speech that was very impactful when watching it. So, even though I haven't seen The Whale, and I know it's a more divisive movie, I know you weren't too crazy about it. I know Rachel really hated that movie. If
Yeah,
he won, if he won the, even if I though I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't be surprised if he won, just so he can get like an emotional speech and a great comeback victory because he's needed it after being absent for so long. So if I'm going for me, I want to go. I'd vote for Austin Butler, but I wouldn't be disappointed if Brendan Fraser got it.
yeah, using my head, I'd say Butler, but my heart kind of wants Fraser to win, if for nothing else, as a bit of a lifetime achievement, like a thank you for all of your years. Like when Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman. Clearly, Al Pacino has won for or has much better performances under his belt. The Godfather movies come to mind. But him winning for Scent of a Woman felt like a thank you for all that you have done. So hopefully like I said, head is saying Austin Butler, but heart is really wanting Fraser to win. But that's just me. Supporting actor, we got Brendan Gleeson for Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans, Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ke Huy Quan better win that award. I sincerely hope that he does. For one, I would love the prospect of Short Round being an Oscar winner. But second of all, Everything Everywhere All at Once was fantastic. And it really just drives me nuts that Judd Hirsch has a nomination. He's precisely in one scene in The Fablemans. And I like The Fablemans. I'm not ragging on The Fablemans, but he was in one scene in that movie. And it just makes no sense to me at all. But I might be ranting, Jacob. What do you think?
Yeah, I get it. It's weird. The Academy does acknowledge performances and nominate them, even though, like you said, they only have one scene in movies. I can't really think of other performances off the top of my head, but I know that's happened before in the past. I do like Judd Hirsch's performance, though. His scene was a clear standout in The Fablemans, but I don't know if it was a Oscar contender performance compared to some of the other performances in that movie. I think Seth Rogen, gave a much stronger performance in The Fablemans personally than Judd Hirsch. But with all that said, I do think Ke Huy Quan, it's his to win. I know he's been a contender for other awards. I know he won the Golden Globe, and I saw his acceptance speech, and that was pretty emotional as well. I really hope he gets the award for Everything Everywhere All at Once. One, I've seen the movie. It's a great movie. He gave the standout performance in that movie for sure. Like he had such great range as an actor and also had some amazing action scenes. I think he was kind of the heart of the movie too in a lot of ways. The support that he brought to Michelle Yeoh's character, especially. So I think it's Ke Huy Quan's for the win all the way, and it'll be such an upset if he didn't win.
That was such a great scene where they're standing in the rain in that one universe where they're both movie stars. And he's like, you know what? In another universe, I would have loved to have just done laundry and taxes with you. That's such a great scene. It's really,
Mm.
really solid. But I think we're in agreement. It's Ke Huy Quan's to lose. But Best Actress, we got Kate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Andrea Riseborough one is so weird because it's a movie that I've never heard of. I was watching uh I was watching Chili Boy Productions' reaction stream to the nomination. Shout out to you, Larry. So I was watching it, and when I heard when I heard Andrea Riseborough's name, I was like, "Who?" Like I had never heard of her or this movie, but and just the people saying that there were better ones to go for this. I want Michelle Yeoh to win. It's looking like all signs are pointing towards her. If I had to choose someone else, I would hope it would be Kate Blanchett because I've seen Tar and she was the best part of that movie by a country mile. But anyway, Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, the only two movies I've actually seen of the actors that got nominated were Michelle Williams for The Fablemans and Michelle Yeoh. I like The Fablemans and I like Michelle Williams, but I could not stand her character. She was easily the most unlikable character in the whole movie, and they try to give her like the big emotional arc for the Sammy character, and it was not earned to me because of the terrible things her character did throughout the movie. I don't really get how she got the Oscar contender personally, even though I like her as an actress, but the character I don't think was Oscar material. But that's just me personally. I'm shocked about the To Leslie actress because I've never heard of that actress or the movie in general. That was like a big shock to me. And I was also shocked that Ana de Armas got nominated for Blonde because nobody I know liked that movie. It was like one of the most despised movies of last year. I don't know how she got nominated, but hey, it's Ana de Armas, and I'm sure she'll bounce back from Blonde, even though she's like the only, I guess, bright spot of that movie. I have a feeling as far as who's going to win, it's going to go to either Kate Blanchett or Michelle Yeoh. I can't vouch for Tar, but even as I haven't seen it, but apparently she's really good in that movie, and a lot of people believe it's Oscar material. So I wouldn't be surprised if she won, but I really hope Michelle Yeoh gets it. She's been such an awesome actress that's done a lot of awesome movies. And it's really cool that she's finally being recognized by the Academy and a really great performance. And I hope she gets it, much like Ke Huy Quan.
The Academy is not a body that I trust. So knowing them, they'll probably just give it to Michelle Williams just to be like, nah, 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 nah. It's just to see the internet just burn. But it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Well, Best Actress, we got Angela Bassett for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Yes. Hong Chow for The Whale, Carrie Condon for Banshees, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I really want Stephanie Sue to win. However, if they give it to Angela Bassett, you will have no complaints from me.
And don't you mean supporting actress on this one?
Yes, what did I
Yeah,
say?
because you said actress first. I was
Oh,
like, wait a minute, we just did actress.
you're right. You're right. That's my bad. My bad. Supporting actress. But like I said, if they give it to Angela Bassett, you will hear no complaints from me.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably going to go to Angela Bassett because of how emotional her performance was in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And I'm definitely on board with that too because she was one of the highlights of that movie. And it'd be really cool for somebody that won an Oscar for being in a Marvel movie. That would probably make Martin Scorsese upset, but I honestly don't care. A great performance is a great performance. I'm surprised Jamie Lee Curtis got nominated because I enjoyed her in that movie, but nothing about her performance was like Oscar worthy to me, even though it was my favorite movie last year. Stephanie Hizu, I think so. Is that how you pronounce her name? I thought she was good as the daughter, and I'd be open with her winning, like you said, but I think it's going to go to Angela Bassett.
Yeah, like I said, I think Stephanie Sue should win, with a very close second being Angela Bassett. Either one of those women will be fine by me. Well, next up in Best Animation, we have a bit of a stated interest in this. Is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? Yes. The Sea Beast and Turning Red. Now, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On probably has no chance of winning. I'm happy it got the nomination because that movie was fantastic. I have a feeling it's going to go to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which I didn't love, but if it does get the nom, then it's a win for stop motion animation, which is a double yes for me. Anyway, looking at this category, I have not seen The Sea Beast, but I've heard nothing but good things. I have no complaints for these nominees.
Yeah, this is one of the best animated feature nominees in a while because usually they pick the obvious choice and then they pick some weird obscure ones that nobody's ever heard of and not a lot of people are too inclined to check out. But this was a pretty good batch. The only one I haven't seen is Marcel, so I can't vouch for that one, even though I know it's a fan favorite. I really want Puss in Boots to win personally. That was easily my favorite animated film of the year. It had no right to be this good, and it's probably one of the best animated sequels that improved upon the original film in almost every way. That was a fantastic movie that did a lot of great things and was a great comeback for DreamWorks Animation. But I know the awards have been pushing for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That's like the big award darling. And like you, Ryan, I didn't love the film that much either. I still liked it and respected it for what it was, but I definitely had a lot of issues with it personally. But I don't mind it winning either because it'd be a good victory for stop motion animation. And probably a good indicator and respecter that animation is more than just for kids. And Guillermo specified that when it won the Golden Globe as well. He was like, "Look, animation is not just for kids; it's an art form. Anyone can appreciate it." So, him winning would be a good victory for that mentality as well. So, I have a feeling Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is going to win, but I really want Puss in Boots to win. That's just me.
Yeah, like you said, that movie had no business being as good as it was, but that movie was so epic in so many ways. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I saw it. But yeah, head is saying Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Heart desperately, desperately, desperately wants Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. But cinematography is All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truth.
The farting chronicles.
Yep, it's 9:30 my time, so I am pretty much useless at this hour. But Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. I think that Elvis might win this one. I haven't seen All Quiet, Bardo, Empire, and I've seen Tar. The cinematography is good there, but I sincerely hope Elvis gets it. Jacob, anything
Yeah,
to add?
I think a lot of people were complaining that the cinematography nominations were weak this year, and of those movies, I've only seen Elvis, and that movie had some pretty good cinematography. Ones that got snubbed, I was surprised that Top Gun Maverick or Avatar didn't get nominated for this award because those movies had great cinematography in them, the way they were shot. I think of the ones that were nominated, it's probably going to go to either Elvis or All Quiet on the Western Front, but this was a weird batch of nominees this year all around.
Yeah, big facts on that one. Speeding through some more of these, let's go to Best Picture, and I think that'll be the last one that we talk about. So for Best Picture, we got All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Now, I think out of all of these, I I feel like they might go Fablemans just to troll us, but I sincerely hope Everything Everywhere All at Once wins. But that's just me. The subheading to that, I'm happy Avatar got nominated, and I'm happy Top Gun Maverick got nominated. They're not going to win, but I'm happy they got nominated.
Yeah, this has probably been one of the best balanced Best Picture nominees in a while. A lot of the previous Best Picture nominees were good, like I think critics' choice contenders, but not really ones a lot of audience really clamors to see. A lot of blockbuster movies tend to get snubbed in a lot of years past, but I like that some of the best blockbusters that came out last year got recognized this year. Avatar, Top Gun, even Elvis got nominated, which was pretty cool as well. While you still got your critical darlings, is that you know a lot of critics tend to go for and try to encourage others to see. I thought this was a much better mix than it's been in the years past. With that said, I've only seen half of the movies that was nominated, and of the ones I've seen, which are probably the ones that are probably closer to winning the award, uh, I would love Everything Everywhere All at Once to win Best Picture. It was my favorite movie of the last year. It did a good job of balancing things, you know, that you can enjoy in a blockbuster while also being very artistic as well, being A24. And it meshed the two very well. That made for such an enthralling experience. Uh, yeah, I love Top Gun Maverick and Avatar, but there's no way the Academy is going to choose those for Best Picture. I have a feeling the Banshees of Inisherin or uh, the Fablemans might get the Best Picture win. If it was between those, even though I haven't seen Banshees, I'm kind of I think the Fablemans has more of a chance because it's like a good legacy picture for Steven Spielberg, and he's like one of the all-time great directors. So it might go to the Fablemans just on that alone. I've never been good at predicting what wins Best Picture because the Academy always throws a curveball every year. Remember, I was in the camp that thought La La Land was going to win Best Picture, but no, Moonlight won at the last second. And yeah, I've never really predicted what's going to win that award. So I want it to be Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I have a feeling it's going to be the Fablemans. That's my, I guess, final prediction at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think to put the period at the end of the sentence on this discussion, I don't think there was really one where I was like, okay, like maybe the Andrea Riseborough one and maybe some others, but I think most of the nominees they picked were honestly pretty solid. Either I figured they were going in that direction, or I was surprised they went into that direction and I was pleasantly surprised. So I don't know about all of you watching, but I think this is a pretty satisfying set of nominees. When the actual ceremony happens, it might be a completely different story. But I have a small kernel of hope that they might do the right thing. Small kernel. But what do you all think of the Oscar nominees? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. All right, Jacob, let's get to the second part of our double main event. DC Studios and James Gunn have announced their big 5-year plan for where they're going to take DC Comics properties going forward. Will this work? We don't know. This is just an announcement. But this is everything that has been announced so far. Jacob, have you seen this yet?
Yes, I have seen this.
All right, well, just running through this one really quickly in terms of movies that are expected. We're getting a new Superman movie. It's got a definitive release date of July 11th, 2025. Whether that moves or stays is yet to come. But it's going to be sad that Henry Cavill is no longer Superman, but with a new creative team in place, I feel like it's the necessary thing that they have to do. So here's to hoping they get a good man in the cape.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It pains me that we're not getting Henry Cavill Superman. I was wanting another Henry Cavill Superman movie for years, and it never happened because he got screwed around by the studio so bad, and the past regime just did not care about Superman that much. It didn't have faith in Henry Cavill. And as much as I was excited to see the possibility of another Cavill Superman after Black Adam, it just didn't work out at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I know a lot of people are bitter about the new direction, and we're not getting the more Zack Snyder, we're not getting more Henry Cavill and all that. But I'm more for a unified vision. And the past 10 years at DC, a lot of the individual movies I liked, but there's not a cohesive, unified vision. You got Zack Snyder doing his thing. You got Patty Jenkins doing her thing. You got Joss Whedon trying to take over a Zack Snyder movie, and it epically backfired. And then we got another Zack Snyder cut of that movie, and then James Gunn's trying to do something over here. And the individual parts are good, but they're not clicking. They're all clashing to try to see what fits. And hopefully, now that we got James Gunn starting from the ground up, it's going to be a much better, more unified uh, cinematic universe.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And from what I've read, and I actually was discussing this with my good friend Mike Thomas over on the Chatter After Daily. We were talking about how this is going to be inspired by All Star Superman, which, long story short, Jacob, have you heard of this comic story?
Just by name, I don't know what the story is.
To make the long story short, this is an older Superman, many battles under his belt. He absorbs the energy of our sun, and it makes him stronger than you would normally know Superman for, but it's also killing him. So he's taking a bit of time for reflection. So we're getting a bit of an older Superman. So that's
That,
going to be very interesting.
that's a bit weird because I think I had read that James Gunn wanted a younger actor to play Superman that was like 25 years old. So it's kind of weird he's trying to adapt the story of an older Superman, but casting a younger actor.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I mean, it's James Gunn, so clearly he's thought a lot about this. Next up is The Authority, which is a bit of a subgroup that I had never heard of before. I had to look up who these people were. But if James Gunn is known for anything, because I'll lump in Creature Commandos in with this, if James Gunn knows anything, it's how to turn an obscure superhero group and turn them into the biggest thing ever. Here's Guardians of the Galaxy as your example.
Oh, yep, I was about to say that. Guardians of the Galaxy is proof that James Gunn can take oddball characters that nobody's heard of and make them awesome. He did that with Guardians. He did it with Suicide Squad, and he'll do it again with those other characters.
Yeah, so and it's funny, the Creature Commandos are actually led by the Frankenstein's monster and the Bride of Frankenstein, which is low-key it's kind of awesome for me as a big fan of Universal horror, as the Universal monster movies, that puts a smile on my face. Don't
The
look at
Universal monster movies and DC if unofficially crossing over.
Hey, I'm for it. But moving on, we got the Batman story, Batman the Brave and the Bold, which will introduce Damian Wayne, the son of Bruce Wayne. And it looks like, according to what James Gunn has been talking about, Matt Reeves's Batman will also exist in the Elseworld, meaning that it's going to exist in a vacuum. But we're also going to get the DC Studios version of Batman in this Brave and the Bold situation, which I've actually read some of Damian Wayne's stuff, and there's actually a DC animated film called Son of Batman, where Damian Wayne is a pretty big player involved in that. So it's looking like we're going to potentially see Batgirl, not the Batgirl movie we were going to get, but I guess a different version of that. Red Hood, Nightwing. This opens the door to a lot of possibilities. So this could potentially be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think so too, because I know of a lot of these characters by name because I don't read that much comics. I don't know much about these characters. So much like what Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did with like Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen and some of the other iterations of Spider-Man, this would be a good movie to do other versions of Batman or some of the other characters in the Batman lore onto a big feature length film. I think this is a great idea, and I hope James Gunn pulls it off. And I'm glad that we're still getting Matt Reeves like little pocket universe as well. The Batman was like my third favorite movie of 2022, and it's probably my favorite version of Batman that's not Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I'm glad we're getting more of that, and I can't wait to see his Batman 2 as well. It's a good time to be a Batman fan because you got Matt Reeves, and I'm excited to see what James Gunn's Batman's going to be too.
Without a doubt. And according to the report, we're not getting Batman 2, Matt Reeves' Batman, until 2025. But considering how good that first Batman movie was, take all the time you need. Like, take
Yeah,
all the time you need, Matt Reeves.
yeah, for sure.
Well, next is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and I know next to nothing about Supergirl, but it should be interesting that they're finally doing something with her.
Yeah, same here. And I think I know they have a Supergirl in the Flash movie coming out later this year. I don't know if they're going to keep the same actress or he's going to recast. But I saw in James Gunn's video that the Flash is supposed to reset the DC universe. So maybe he's going to keep that actress. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I know next to nothing about Supergirl, so that'll probably going to be my introduction to the character. And much like the other projects, I hope it's a good movie.
Yeah, I hope so as well. But wrapping things up for the movie side of things, we've got Swamp Thing, and interestingly enough, James Mangold is courting James Gunn to say, "Hey, maybe I should do something with this." And considering who James Mangold is, if he gets it, then I would be very happy about that.
Yep, same here. I don't know much about the Swamp Thing character. I haven't seen any of the previous versions. I know Wes Craven did an infamous one in the 80s, which apparently is really bad. James Mangold being a part of DC is a major win in my book. I read or I saw James Gunn is trying to get a bunch of filmmakers and wants them to execute their own visions while still being part of this universe. So if he gets some good talent involved, I think it's going to be. I think these movies are going to do very well.
I think so as well, and we're getting a couple of TV shows. We're getting a Waller TV show. Viola Davis is coming back, so I like that news. We're
Yep.
getting a Booster Gold TV show, which I am not so familiar with him, but just based on images that I've seen, if they don't get Glenn Powell for it, then what are we doing as a society? We're getting a Lantern show, which after that terrible Green Lantern movie a long time ago, Green Lantern needs all the love that he can get. And we're getting a Paradise Lost movie, which is focused on, which has been described as kind of a Game of Thrones style show, but set in the Wonder Woman universe. Haven't seen Game of Thrones, but that could potentially be very interesting.
Yeah, and I think of all those shows, the one that intrigues me the most is the Green Lantern show. Only because I want to see something good come out of Green Lantern because the Ryan Reynolds movie it was terrible, like one of the worst comic book movies of all time. So Green Lantern needs some good justice due.
Yeah, without a doubt. But again, stating earlier, this is just a This is just a, hey, what, we've got some stuff cooking, and DC have done this before and it did not work out so well for them. But I'm kind of cautiously optimistic for this. There are at least 3 or 4 things on here where I'm like, all right, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And of course, it could all crash and burn. We don't know what it's going to be. And I don't think the toxicity is going to die down anytime soon, especially from those who were pro Zack Snyder and don't want to let that go. And as much as I love Zack Snyder's movies and some of the other DCU movies, like I said earlier, they need a unified vision. I think what DC's problem was in the first place was they needed a Kevin Feige like figure to oversee everything and better interconnect the movies and make them more cohesive. Make them work on their own, but have a greater end goal for something really epic down the line, which works so well in the Marvel universe, like movies how Infinity War and Endgame paid off for them. And because James Gunn previously worked in Marvel and knows a little bit of thing or two about how the Marvel movies were so well, I hope James Gunn does his own flavor to that. Doesn't hope he doesn't 100% copy what Feige's done, but do like his own style of it to where it's good competition with what Marvel's done. And I'm really excited to see what the potential is going to be.
Yeah, no doubt. But out of all the slate that has been announced for the DC studios, which one are you looking forward to the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. And that is it. That is another episode in the books. Jacob, thank you so much as always. It is a privilege. I'm so glad your move went so well, and I look forward to doing this every week with you. I know your uploads are going to be, I believe, if I've heard you right, more sparse than what you were used to doing. But is there anything on your channel coming up?
Yeah, the only real thing I've been doing on my channel lately is my what I've watched live streams, which I did my recent one this past Saturday, and that's probably going to be the day I'll do them going forward. And I'll share what I've watched in the past week, and then I will edit snippets of the live stream and re-upload them as standalone videos. So I got some of those uploads coming throughout the week. I still got an upload I'm doing from the last live stream I did while I was in Virginia, where I wanted to upload my thoughts on the Fablemans, and then I got some other videos coming, like my celebrating Disney, where I'll be talking about Tarzan 2, and then I'm still going through Peter Bogdanovich's filmography. I covered a movie he did called The Thing Called Love, and I also recently checked out for the first time To Sir with Love, a very underrated 1960s film with Sidney Poitier, which was a great hidden gem, and I really enjoyed that. So those are some upcoming videos I'll be uploading throughout the week, and it's gonna be interesting what's gonna happen on my channel in the next few years.
I love To Sir with Love. My dad introduced that to me a long time ago, and it is a fantastic movie. I want to look up who the girl is, because she would later go on to sing one of the more famous Bond songs.
Oh, Lulu,
Her, yes.
yeah.
She was one of the teenagers in there, and I thought that she was fantastic. And and yeah, To Serve with Love is a great coming of age movie. It's Sidney Poitier was just an awesome talent. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, facts.
Well, as for this channel, the Shyamalan project is officially over. I reviewed Knock at the Cabin. I have a spoiler-filled video and a spoiler-free video. Those will be on the channel if you are so inclined. I'll be continuing my road to Creed 3 by covering Rocky Balboa from 2006. And I'll be having my good friend Phil from Phil Talks Sports talking about the movie with me. And then, of course, covering whatever new release is coming out this week, because my theater has not released what is coming out this week. And That's usually would be around this time. But well, whatever I do see, I will be reviewing. But thank you all so much for watching as always. For Jacob Martin, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you in the next one. You take care.